Welcome back to Season 5, Episode 1 of Yes, I'm Adopted, Don't Make It Weird. We were on hiatus for 2 weeks, playing a lot of video games, scheming and dreaming about what's next for Yes, I'm Adopted, and we are back, more energized than ever. That is so not true. That was all the energy I had.
I don't think that's at all accurate.
I'm gonna drink this tea out of the sock monkey mug now.
It's nice to be back. I don't know if anybody actually missed us or whatever, but
Put in the comments if you missed us.
Throw a GIF.
We need that, please.
That's what we need. I need
Please.
GIFs down in the comments about how much you missed us. That's gonna be real bad, I think. So
Yeah.
that's exciting. And so we're back to this.
Yeah, what have we
which
been
is
doing in the
kinda fun.
meantime?
So in the meantime, we've been playing video games.
Yep.
Which has been good. We've been working on what phase next is.
Phase next.
And like a long-term dream for what this is, what Yes, I'm Adopted is, and what the future entails.
Yep.
Which we never did before.
We should have done that.
We probably should have done that, but this just kind of happened
Thanks, guys.
in season 2,
Thanks, guys.
and so we started making stuff.
Yeah, we had the curriculum go out. We've had a bunch of people purchase that, which has been awesome.
That's cool, yeah.
So really excited for that. If you guys have not checked out the curriculum, make sure to go check out the link in the description so that way you guys can find out what the curriculum is all about.
And we're gonna have more stuff like that we're working on in the future.
Yeah.
And we had some cool meetings while we were off on hiatus. We got to talk to some cool people.
Yeah, I got to hang out with Elena a little
yeah.
bit from Through Adopted Eyes.
Right.
If you guys not have checked out her book, make sure to go check out her book. You can find the Amazon link up above as well, or if you're watching on YouTube, down below.
But
Go check out the book.
this episode of Yes, I'm Adopted, Don't Make It Weird, brought to you by our stuff. Please go purchase
Please
it.
go buy it. We want to keep going.
So, yeah. Anyway, so we spent the time scheming about what's coming up next year, and then and just kind of thinking about what topics we're gonna hit for this, I guess, 12-week arc of season 5.
Yep, 12 weeks.
So we're back at it.
Yeah.
So a lot of transitions and stuff like that. But this week we're gonna be talking about the generational differences in adoption, which is a huge topic.
And it's probably going to make some people mad.
And it's probably going to irritate some people.
That's what we do now, though, it seems
Apparently, we do. Well, we say that.
Like, we stir the pot.
We say it every
but
week.
Nobody gets angry.
Right? Like, this is going to be it. This is going to be it for the show. Nobody's going to watch it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then more people
watch it.
So I guess it's whatever.
So we should just start doing, like, really controversial topics. So let's talk about religion and adoption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And politics. Anyway, generational differences in adoption.
Let's hit it.
And go.
Okay. So there are a lot of generational differences in adoption.
Good job. You did it.
So we were I guess we still are millennials technically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's weird to say because millennials got like a terrible rap for a long time, and you just as a non, how do I say this in the polite way, non-whiny millennial, you had a hard time identifying as a millennial for a long time.
Sure.
Because you're like, look at those millennials. Oh wait, that's my generation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Yeah. And then if you're honest, you do recognize the traits, right?
And you're like, oh, I do that.
Oh, I am all of those things. And then we studied that for work.
Yeah, we did a lot of generational differences and patterns and trends and stuff.
Right. For a couple of years there.
Yeah.
And then doing the show has put us in contact with adoptees from all walks of life and adoptive parents from all walks of life. And there are some distinct differences in the way adoptees were raised, I think, specifically from like let's define it now, the baby scoop era.
Yep.
Right, which those adoptees are kind of the baby boomers today, right? And then moving forward to where we are now, like the differences are profoundly distinct, even just in the general cultural attitude toward adoption, as a whole. So, like that whole era consisted of, I mean, what's your take on what's the baby scoop era's take on adoption?
You want me to answer it on behalf of all of them?
I was gonna do that, but then I thought it'd be funnier.
Oh gosh, it's terrifying. I'm gonna just leave. Oh, forget that.
And that is the idea about the baby scoop era.
And that's how they deal with it. They just get up and leave. No. As far as like the baby scoop era, a lot of those people had it rough.
Yeah. Like
they had it real rough.
Yeah. The whole adoption experience in like the 60s,
Yeah.
60s, 70s, like in that range, and before even, was very shame based.
Yeah,
Essentially,
dude.
like everything was a secret, and like if you got pregnant out of wedlock, essentially, like you were now the black sheep pariah of your family, and anybody associated with that is now evil.
Yep.
And that's like that would be a rough thing to grow up in.
Right, exactly. Like you as the child were the sole reason why your family is divided.
Had shame heaped upon them.
Like,
heaped.
Holy cow, heaped. Yes, exactly.
I like the word heaped.
But yeah, there was so much shame. There was so much, I guess, bitterness. Like, as far as like the adoptee goes.
Sure.
Right. Because they were looked at as less than.
Sure.
Because for instance, like if I were to adopt way back in the day, a lot of people would come up to my family and be like, "So what's wrong with you? Mm-hmm. Why can't you have your own kids?" Or what's wrong with the kid?
Right.
There's always that.
Right. Where did they come from? And then by extension, what is wrong with their birth family?
Yep.
And where they came from.
And then back to what's wrong with you for adopting them.
And then everything is wrong. Everybody is wrong. And so the easiest thing then, especially, was just to be like, nope.
Yep. Right.
We didn't adopt. It's fine.
This just popped up just out of nowhere.
It's fine.
It's weird.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's cool. And that was like the prevalent experience, which we're still seeing the carryovers today, domestically especially.
Yeah.
Like there are still laws in place that adoptees domestically here can't access their birth records.
Right.
And that's ridiculous. But that's a holdover of that whole era of adoption where the rights were for, not even I think for the birth parents, but for like the disgraced families of the birth parents. Yeah. Like that's really what that whole legislation feels like to us today. Whereas you skip forward then, 3 generations and 4 decades, right? And here we are today, and our adoption experience was completely different.
So different
than that adoption experience.
Right. They opened up internationally.
Right.
Which, was a really big deal to be able to do that because back in the day, you could just kind of hide it. A white parent with a white kid, it's like, hey, that's my kid.
Ta-da.
But now, I look nothing like my dad. He likes to try to make the joke that I got my good looks from him. And I'm like, joke's on you. I don't got good looks. What?
That is not where I saw that going.
and so, adoption has been more welcomed nowadays, I guess. Mm-hmm. As far as like the parent units, like
sure.
The family unit, adoption has been more normalized nowadays, which is kind of why we talk in the show, because as the adoptee, we don't sometimes feel all that normal.
Sure.
So, we kind of try to normalize the adoption experience. Tagline. There we go.
He did it.
But yeah, I mean, it took a lot to get there. And not just, like in the adoption world, like society and culturally, like what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, how we're growing as a society. Like that had to change a lot to get to where we are now.
Right.
But there are some people mentally that have not caught up to that yet.
Sure.
And unfortunately, a lot of those are adoptees. Let's just say that.
It's across the board.
Yeah.
But the ones we hear from a lot are adoptees. Like it's interesting to try to apply our experience to kids today, right? Like and our experience even to kids that are being raised right now is very different. Right? Like just the technological component is so different.
My kid is so good at the iPad.
Right? Like so they can, and that's intuitive to them, and we were born before the internet.
Yep.
And so for me to want to say, hey, like, check this out, young person, or whatever. They're like, we already know all about that, and we
Right.
moved on, and we have our own language for all of this, and you're old. And
Yeet. Yeet.
I don't know what that means.
It means everything.
Oh.
Yeah, yeet you can apply in any situation.
Okay. I mean, we would have said dude.
Yeah.
Right? Which was
Right.
our kind of all
Right.
encompassing
Exactly.
word.
Dude.
And I don't know what came before that, because that was before me.
Disco.
Right?
Oh.
And I'd be like,
that's so
really?
disco.
You're talking like that? Really? That's embarrassing, right? And so, I mean, it's interesting. It's important that we have perspective,
Yes.
right? I think having generational perspective is really important to know where we came from,
Yeah.
and to know how far it is that we've come. But at the same time, we have to recognize where we are.
Yeah.
And then we need to determine where we're going. And all of those things are really great to know for that perspective. But just because your perspective is justified doesn't mean that it's useful.
Say it again!
Oh.
Ah! Say it again!
That kind of hurt to say a little
Oh!
bit.
I can hear the comments now! I can hear them!
Which, I don't know, I guess is also a matter of perspective. But for the most part, I'm like, I look at so many, and this is across the board internet commenting.
Yeah.
Right? I get it. All the things that happen to you, and like, in your experience is different than my experience, and that doesn't make it invalid, but
Right.
it's also not necessarily helping.
Yes!
So that's where we land, and that's a really, I don't know, I guess unpopular statement on the internet.
You just open yourself up to like all of the.
That's why I
all
don't.
the
That's why I
response.
never check our Facebook page.
Yeah.
That's why you check the Facebook page, because I say ridiculous things, and now it's
Yeah.
your job to follow up on
like,
that.
yeah. My wife's gonna see me, just like in the corner, just like kind of bundled up like this. Like, what's wrong with you? I read the comments.
Don't read the comments. You don't want to read the comments.
Gotta burn my phone.
And I appreciate all of those stories, but I also really want to. That's our goal. That's why we do the show, right?
Yes.
Is to help people and to help adoptive families, especially, move forward into being better.
Yeah.
Right. And
Better
I
than
think
that next generation.
And that's an important thing to acknowledge as well, is that as adoption and as our society and our culture have moved forward, I think we're better.
Yeah.
Right.
We for sure are. Like, they're starting to open, the domestic records
Mhm.
now. There's people fighting and advocating on that behalf. Adoptee rights campaign, ARC, they're all over the place, like working with people. There are specific lawyers now
Yeah.
that are for adoptee rights.
Who knew?
Like that's what they work on alone is like, like these adoption cases and stuff. And so as far as society goes, adoption is definitely in a better place now. But unfortunately, there are still some people that are holding on to that bitterness and pain. And again, like he said, it is a very real thing for those people. And it sucks. We acknowledge that it sucks. But our goal here, and we've said this before and we're going to continue saying it, our goal here is to help better the next generation of adoptees. That's what we want to do. And in order to do that, we need to be able to heal. So we're going to go back to that topic. Have you healed?
Lean in.
Lean into the hurt. Turn into the skid. Other catchphrase.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing. And it's gonna suck. Let it suck for a little while.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna get better.
But then move forward.
Yeah.
And that's what's, that is a part of who you are, but it doesn't necessarily have to define you.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, there's huge generational differences, and that's everything, not just adoption related, but
Right.
but especially in the world of adoption. And it's important that we learn from one another, but
Yeah.
it's also important that we grow
Yeah.
because of one another. So,
And I'll say this too, like the generations that come after us need to know where we were. They need to learn from us, because I'm not trying to discredit anything, as far as like the baby scoop era, baby boomers, anything like that. I don't want to discredit anything that they did, because they did a lot of really amazing things. So learn from the older generation. Definitely listen to what they have to say, but don't let it compromise your values, and don't let it compromise the integrity of your family unit.
ta-da.
Yeah. So that's hopefully that'll calm some of those angry people down a little bit.
They probably
Probably
already.
not.
I mean, they probably already left their comment and turned us off, right?
That's true.
At
So if
this
you made
point.
it, thanks for not hating on us.
That's what I would have done. Welcome to the internet. Good times.
Yeah. So we are excited to be back for season 5. We are coming in strong. We are coming in hot. We are coming in making a lot of people potentially angry. So make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and tell us how angry you are down below. And as David was asking for before, post a GIF of how much you missed us during the time off. Hopefully it's a lot, because we missed you.